you're almost ready to go. And it's on, recording also on. Welcome, Derick.
Welcome, everybody, to the Spirit of the Games U.S. panel on business leadership and human resources. I'm Derick Jackson. I'm one of the regional leads for the Midwest for Spirit of the Games U.S., and I'm your moderator. First, thanks for your participation. This is going to be a great panel. We've got 4 great speakers that are going to be giving us some information. But first, let me do a little of housekeeping. Please put your information in the chat. And also, at the end of the conference, save the chat so you can contact the people that you're interested in getting more information from them, and they can contact you. So I highly encourage you to do that. I also highly encourage you to after this particular session, this is the last session of the day, last but not least, certainly. And at the after this particular session, we're going to have another hour or so where we're going to be able to go more deep into questions and to have more golden nuggets about things that are going on. We've got 4 great speakers that I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit of their bio and then bring up. And first up, we're going to have Balin Magino, and I apologize for maybe saying your name incorrectly. She's the founder of the Global Dream Makers and creator of the Dream Maker Matrix. She helps leaders live inspired lives, navigating through change and transitions. She helps leaders live inspired lives, navigating through change and transitions. And she's also a life coach focusing on increasing a greater work-life balance. So Balin, are you there?
Yes, I am, Derick.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and give your presentation?
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, my name is Balin Magino. I am the founder of Global Dream Makers and the creator of the Dream Maker Matrix. And thank you. Thank you for taking the time today to be with us. Thank you for inviting me, because I have a dream. I have a dream. In my dream, each person is bringing their inspired vision into our reality. And as we are living into our dreams every day, we can only encourage others to do the same. And as dream makers, as leaders, we bring our visions to life and we will thrive. Our families, our organizations, our communities and countries will thrive. And in such a place, there will be no need for violence or war. In such a place, I truly believe we will have peace. Yet, how do we get there? How do we co-create with the universe? We must have a clear vision for ourselves, for our families, for our organizations, communities, for those who come after us, and for the planet when we are long gone. So today I ask you, what's your dream? What inspires you to wake up every day, rain or shine, in sickness and in health, to do the things that must be done? Perhaps you have a dream for your life, and I ask you to consider, is it your dream? Is your dream based on who you are at your core? Is it based on your values, grounded in your purpose? Does it light your way in those dark nights when everyone is looking to you for guidance? Or does it drop little sparkles in your path as you slowly rise out of slumber? Sparkles that coalesce into a magnificent idea to be considered for full-blown implementation, or discussed and reshaped until it fills the blank spot of what's the next step? I ask you, what's your dream? What brings spirit into you? What will make you happy? I want to shake you up today because for the last 3 or more years, we've contemplated our lives while tucked safely in our homes. And when the doors finally opened, millions left their jobs. Millions became entrepreneurs. And the Wall Street Journal tells us those who made the shift are happier. But I wonder, did they change how they see the connections of the different areas of their life? Did they change how they create their experiences, take responsibility for their choices and impact? Because you see, no one is an island. Every breath we take can impact those around us. We know that now. Every thought has the potential to become words that manifest a whole ripple effect that can reverberate through generations. Every action can create, nurture, or destroy. So I ask you, what are you thinking in those quiet moments? Because those moments are when you become inspired. Those moments are when we let our minds relax and open enough to allow the inspiring thoughts, the in-spirit thoughts to enter. And that is when co-creation can begin. They're like the dewdrops on the leaf on the tree next to the river. Dewdrops gather together and merge until as one, they slide off the leaf and into the river, merging into the body of water, rushing to become part of the sea. Where will your thoughts and dreams take you? How will your thoughts bring change into your world, into the world? And how will you know when your drop of water reaches the edge of a distant shore? But at that point, will it matter? Or is the important piece that you, as a single drop of dew sparkling in the morning light, grew so full that you created momentum that released you to become part of something more? Give rise to inspiration bubbling up inside. It's yours to bring into the light of day, and only yours to add to your piece of the planetary puzzle. How we hold our vision and make our choices and nurture the experiences we desire, that's our part in creating this global vision. Choices are how we impact the trajectory of our life and the lives of all we lead. It's an exciting time because now we know we have complete choice in how we act and how we respond. We know that now. And because our choices affect the creation of our dreams, when the opportunities arise to make a choice, we now can ask the simple question, as the leader of our world, will this take me closer or further from my dream? You must know right now there is no wrong answer. It is your choice how you will lead. And as you move forward, each step creates its own ripples in the pond of your mind, which further ripple out as you act in all areas of your life. We see 5 areas that ripple 6 layers deep in an organic, simple, profoundly connected flow. So we're each piece of this global vision. We each have a clear, complete vision and simply align our thoughts and actions to create, and the ripples flow with ease. So know your vision, speak it, share it, propagate it. Find others who share all or part of your dream, and in building together, you're acting in alignment to realize your vision. We will all be enriched and uplifted by the energy generated. Each of us will be unleashed to create our dreams, to engage others with our caring, to fulfill our mission, and to be free. So do you see the importance of being clearer on your vision and acting aligned with it? You may never know the effects of everything you decide. That's why it's so important that your decisions are based on what's true for you, acknowledging your purpose for being. Then let it go. Make conscious decisions. That's how we shine our light, embody the inspiration, bring our full self forward to contribute, build strong relationships in alignment, in service, in stewardship of the planet. So take time to design your full vision. Act from the love in your heart. Connect with others who witness you and uplift you, and you will be met with more light and love, with more depth and beauty than you could ever imagine. Blessings and peace.
Thank you for that feedback there, Bailey. It's great. I know you do a lot of work with coaching leaders and entrepreneurs. What would you think of some of the major challenges that these leaders are trying to overcome, and how does that help the community?
Well, we are in an incredible time of transformation. And so the most important thing that we can do is we can help people to shift their mindset, to become aware of where they're creating their own blocks, where they are creating their lives based on somebody else's dreams, based on old thinking, old fears, old beliefs that were created thousands of years ago. They don't work today. They are not relevant today. And so the big shift is if you are a leader and you want to make change in the world, and you have already been able to make a shift to embrace your responsibility for your impact, your job is to help other people do the same, to help them make that shift so that they are not empowered. They already are empowered, but they take full reign, take control of their experience and take responsibility for it. When they know that it really is their choice, then we can all work together to create that common vision that we have in mind. And if you're around people who don't share your vision, find others who do. Life's too short. Life's too short.
Definitely, definitely. Well, thank you, Malin. I really appreciate that feedback and that understanding of what you do today. I know one of the things that this is about business and how we support the community, but resourcing is a great part of that. And I mean time, materials, and people. And one small short story, really about me. I'm reducing the time here. Is that recently, about 2 months ago, I went out. We had some excess food, if you will, from an event that I was working. And instead of throwing it out, we went and gave it to a homeless person, if you will. And so we had a good conversation. I asked that homeless person, who was very gracious, and I said, "What can I do to help you?" And he basically said, "I need batteries. I need these type of things." And I went out with my personal resources and provided that to that individual. So when we're trying to help people, one of the things we use as enablements is those resources. And that's what this whole conversation is about, using the tools that we have, the resources we have to help the community. And I actually went out and got that person a whole lot of different things. And my son and I did give him that. So please use that as a backdrop when you think about how you can help the community with obtaining resources. And that doesn't necessarily mean money, although it is part of it, time and energy and materials. Thank you again, Balin, for your information. Next, we're going to talk with Jessica Ash, and let me read her bio. Jessica Ash is a educational doctorate, MBA, currently serving as the Assistant Director of Entrepreneurship at Miami University. Prior to that, as a manager of articulation agreements, she created interactive co-curriculum programs through which students perform community service. Excuse me. Her peer-reviewed publication in Al-Ahmad Holy Shrine in Abbas in Iraq found that service to the community was one of the 4 major purposes of education. Her perspective that business was created to support society is bolstered by research in social entrepreneurship. So are you there, Jessica?
I am here. Thank you
Great.
so much, Derick.
Mm-hmm.
And the wonderful people at facilities management at Miami have decided to mow right now. So I have a wonderful background noise. I'm trying to weed it out, no pun intended. But if it's possible for me to share screen, I do have some ideas, some visuals to back up what I'm about to say. So it looks like I do have the capacity to share screen. And I'm going to go with that real quick. So when we talk about business, thank you, Nancy. The very simplest way to look at it is a successful business identifies a problem in a community, and then they find a solution that fits that problem. So let's take a homes in rural Guatemala where the stoves were causing lung disease in people because there was no ventilation system. And a local entrepreneur created a ventilation system and a stove that worked for that community. The model you see here was a little overpriced. So they iterated and reiterated until they found a model that people in that community could afford. And that is a business at its core. That led to the micro consignment model, where in the same community, people couldn't see. And a local person got it in their mind that they could possibly help. So they went to the big city and they got on consignment 10 pairs of eyeglasses. In this way, it postdates the micro credit program because they didn't have to buy them. And then after the glasses were purchased, the person who then had cash returned to the city, returned the glasses that weren't being used, and paid the person for their for the items. So very simply here, when you look at like simple MBA terms, the product, place, and the price, they work together with the people in a local community with their culture and their geography to find these solutions. And these things are happening all over the world. By the way, if you want my sources, I have them all. In addition to this gentleman here, Greg Van Kirk, being a Miami grad, this model was published in Forbes in 2012. I want to move to Michael Sandel, who wrote What Money Can Buy, The Moral Limits of Markets. And he said something that I thought was so preposterous, but that in the beginning, markets were founded on the assumption that philanthropy or being good to other people was a commodity that depleted with use. And so we had to conserve it for some reason. And he posits conversely that they're more like muscles that develop and grow stronger with exercise. And so these can easily become altruism can become a part of our business model because it does lead to success economically. And I'm going to demonstrate that later. What are our community needs? Wow, I'm sure all of you have some great ideas on this. But easily, we need clean water. We need homes. We need better education. I have a lot of ideas there. We need better road systems. And we need peace. These are some of the main things we need. And one of my founding ideas is that leaders of all nations need to work towards providing them. And if they're not, then they're not actually leaders. So they should step aside for someone who is willing to work to provide those. But moving on. The SDGs are ripe for disruption and innovation. These are places where people can make money and do social good. Social entrepreneurship at its basics are the provision of economic and social benefit to a society. Let me give you an easy example. When I went to Panama and Bangladesh last year, and when I did that, I was given 15 bottles of water per day in those hotels. And there is a business model where we focus on implementable solutions, where in developing countries, these businesses can be incentivized to buy, instead of water filters, instead of bottles, to buy filters for their establishments. And I'm working with a manufacturer right now to get that done. And we have to work strategically with pricing on this. I mean, the business is already buying water bottles. Just how can we switch them over to the filter given their cultural and geographic situation? So moving to the largest idea here. And this comes to me with help from Cheryl at Babson College, and Cheryl Klein. And feel free to ask me for any of this information. If we switch the corporate priorities, we can create economic and social value. If you first connect with your community, that automatically engages the employees and frees up some of their discretionary energy that they put towards what they want to put towards, which, using their creative problem solving will increase innovation for the company. And then that increases shareholder wealth quite naturally. And I know that for corporations, this may seem like an absolute revolution, but it's really not. The presentation started with simplicity and it ends with simplicity, but there's a lot of complex human maneuverings that go on in there. Lastly, I want to introduce an initiative that my primary patron in this endeavor is His Excellency Farhan Al-Sheikh Al-Sayed, the president of the Qatar Indonesia business community and the president of Business Group Qatar. You may know him because he was running the World Cup soccer games in Qatar most recently. He's the patron for Global Ladies Business Forum, and our first virtual conference is on the need of business connectivity post-pandemic. Feel free to email that address, or I'll also retype all of my contact information if you're interested in participating. So if any of you have any questions, I am open to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. Can you go a little bit more into the social entrepreneurship that your students are getting involved with at your school? Because I was really fascinated when I read about that, and what kind of community services are they ultimately providing to the community?
Thanks for asking, Derick. And so we're focusing on implementable solutions. This is not about like lobbying Congress. And my opinion is that these silos aren't helping anybody. You have a bunch of environmental orgs and the corporations, and neither one of them are talking. So conversely, for Social Innovation Weekend that I run, we just had it in March, plug, the students unite in multidisciplinary teams. So you might have a biology major, a finance major, a marketing person, and an engineer all on one team with very different mindsets, and they're in college. So they're learning to work through those conflicts because we know that diversity of mindset creates a better product. So the students are center stage, they're creating implementable solutions. And we had this year more mentors from more diverse organizations than ever before under my leadership. Ohio's EPA was a mentor. Every green org in Cincinnati lent mentors. And when the students are coming up with an idea, and then the mentors are saying, well, have you considered this idea? Or, have you considered this challenge? And to give you a firm example, Derick, the winning team was called Native Landscapes. And it's kind of known now that our lawn systems are not friendly to the environment with all of the chemicals that leach into the groundwater. So they came up with Native Landscapes where they use local plants that grow naturally, clover or lavender, and they create a landscape for you that works with the environment. And this is breeding a whole, that's combining social and economic value together. That's just one example. Does that answer your question, Derick?
Yes, it does. It really does. I appreciate that, Jessica. Thank you. Thank you for your information and your insight. Next,
Thank you.
we're going to talk to Adam Kent. Adam, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me go ahead and read a little bit about you. Adam is the founder of Invictus Consulting, an organization dedicated to success of small and medium-sized businesses by coaching, building team cohesion, and cultivating relationships. So you have the floor, Adam.
Cheers. So I know I think the topic that I was going to cover a little bit today was around the world of networking, which sounds like it's perfect in the world of, impact is for everyone. And I love to start with quotes because quotes tend to really, bring points home and kind of link certain things together just, mentally. So the quote I want to give you is, resistance and doubt are predictably the result of lacking clarity. Resistance and doubt is predictably the result of lacking clarity. I really want you to consider that as not just what I'm sharing with you today, but what everybody has shared, everything that you've heard today, and encourage you to really challenge your current reality, right? If you feel a sense of like, that little twinge as people are sharing certain things, if something just felt uncomfortable, if you don't like what you heard, you disagree with it, anything at all that just doesn't align with you, rather than just deciding that it's wrong or that you don't agree or that it's, it is what it is, take a step back and really consider, what is it that I'm resisting here? Why do I doubt what they're saying? Things like that. And with that said, in challenging your current reality, the other side of things is also to ask yourself, do I simply know what I've heard? Or am I actually implementing it effectively in my life or my business? So many of us just simply settle with knowing, let's say, right? We get that blind spot where we get stuck and we think, oh yeah, no, I've heard that before. I already know that. Yeah. But it's useless if it's not being implemented effectively in your life, right? And just like they say, right? Like you've heard them, everyone's heard that quote, knowledge is power. I always love to say, no, it's not. Straight up, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential until there's action, right? So with that said, in the world of networking, in the world of connecting, the same goes in that realm, right? I'm curious, I know we got about 30 people currently online here, but just type in the chat box if you tend to go networking or you've been networking, you've gone to different events to connect with different individuals. How many of you guys have done that or do that on a regular basis as businesses? Right? So, yeah, people are already saying, yeah, I am. Yes, right? So at the end of the day, whether you're doing it online or offline, right? So many of us go to networking and we think, okay, well, I'm there and I'm there to sell, right? And Dr. Ivan Meisner, who's known as the father of modern day networking, right? He has this great quote. It's one of the best I've heard in the world of networking. He says, unfortunately, people still use networking events as a face-to-face cold calling opportunity, right? Because the breakdown in networking is that you go to sell your product or service, but when have you ever personally gone to a networking event to buy somebody's product or service? Guaranteed 99% of you are going to say, no, I've never really consciously gone out to a networking event to buy something from someone. It's always to get something, right? So when you're considering networking at its core, at its actual effective core, it is simply to connect and build relationships, to cultivate relationships, to enhance relationships. It's all about the connections, right? Like the real legitimate connections. And that brings the question, well, how do I do that effectively then on a conscious level? Not just know that I do it or think that I do it, but really do it effectively, strategically. And one of the things to consider is, how do I actually bring value? And I can tell you right now, if your brain goes straight to, well, what I do for a living, what I serve, how I provide value is my product does this for the people that I do it for, or my service really supports by doing this, that, and the other, you're missing it entirely because it's still about you, right? When we're talking about how do you add value, it's not about you. We're talking about how you're adding value to the individual you're speaking to, connecting with, right? How do you truly make a difference to that person? And that could be anywhere from a connection to a resource, anything like that, an introduction at the networking event to who they're looking to connect with, right? So it's really removing your own ego and yourself from the equation in many ways. So one of the funniest tips that I talk about when it comes to networking is one simple thing. Everybody, 99% of people, when you go to a networking event, what's that one question you're going to get asked? Anyone have a clue? Yeah, there you go, Nancy. I saw the lips. I didn't hear you, but I saw it. It's what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do?
Right? Everybody says it. So are you going to be the same as everybody else? Right? When you go there, be creative. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what keeps you busy? Right? The reason why is because, I once heard, I'm big on personalities, communication, behavior, and things like that. And one of the beautiful things is that while everybody is different, yes, we are all different. The great thing is that we're predictably different, right? And if you understand behavior and communication or the way people operate, there's only a certain sort of a bubble of how we can interact, whether it's being more feeling based or more logic based, right? And you can hear that as people share. It's like, I feel like this, or I think about this. They talk more about results. They talk more about tasks. They talk more about getting things done, or they want to tell you their life story, right? We all know the difference as you're hearing me share this. So with that said, when you ask somebody, what keeps you busy? It triggers them to share versus you just talking at them, right? Because the talkative individual that wants to share their feeling, they're going to go, oh my God, let me tell you, and they just go on this big tangent because they love sharing. Versus the more logic-based individual who's going to turn around and say, well, we're at a networking event, it's about business. So, I think, what you're really asking me is what keeps them busy at work. And they're going to be very logic-focused or very work-oriented. Just by asking that one different question, you're going to be able to actually adapt your communication more effectively to actually speak with the person you're speaking with versus talking at them, right? Now, another side of it is, and this is such a funny thing, and most people are probably going to giggle at this, but the number one thing to be an effective networker, anyone have a clue what that could be? The number one thing. Any guesses?
Listening.
Listen, that's good. What
Being
keeps you busy
open.
versus what do you do? I like that, Nancy. What do you think? What else? What other possibilities are there?
How about
Everyone
following up?
thinking. Following up, that's a great one too, right? Here's the funny thing, okay? And I kind of tricked you, I trapped you, okay? So it's a trick question, but it's show up. Right? Now, I know that sounds funny, but if you consider the fact that virtually and in-person events, right, collectively, however many people sign up, it's on average 35 to 50% will not show up, right? So just by you showing up, you're already better off than up to 50% of your competition, 50% of the professionals that you're dealing with. And that's ridiculous to think about. But just simply showing up makes a massive impact, right? The last thing I want to share, as I know we're sort of time bound, is how many of you heard of the Dunbar number? No? Got some heads shaking. Okay, so the Dunbar number was a study that was done that essentially, and I'm going to paraphrase it, I'm just going to put this in a nutshell for time's sake, but essentially what it says is that each individual knows approximately about 150 people within their contact sphere. So that means in this room with 27 people, 27 of us, 27 times 150 is theoretically the amount of connections and opportunities as community that we can build, right? The great thing about that is though that number was actually myth busted, especially with the world of online and everything else that's happening. That number actually increased to 520 individuals. Think about your Facebook friends. How many of them do you actually know, right? But all this community around you, all these connections you're building, all the people you're shaking hands with, people in your phone, you have potentially 520 individuals that you know well enough that you can connect with somebody else to create community, expand community, and network more effectively. There's some thoughts to challenge you. And again, I want you to ask yourselves and challenge yourselves to consider, do I know this or am I actually implementing? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam, for that information. Really do appreciate it. Well, one good question I have for you. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Great. Is cultivating relationships. I know that's important. Small example in my life, quite frankly, had a relationship with a friend from high school and from Chicago. I'm originally from Chicago, and she was a PhD working for the city of Chicago and asked me to be part of a committee to essentially give out grants to nonprofit organizations to help with violence prevention and those kind of things. So that relationship obviously cultivated that giving to the community. So I would encourage everybody to find traditional and non-traditional ways to help your community and utilize the skills that you have. And all that kind of relates to the things that we've talked about all throughout the day today. So those nurturing of relationships you think are critically important. What would you think about that?
So I don't quite understand the question.
I said, how would you think that nurturing relationships become critically important in your relationship with the community?
Got it. Okay, so
Okay.
I mean, it's absolutely critical, right? Because at the end of the day, human beings aren't designed to be alone, first, right? We're not designed to be alone. With that said, for you to succeed in your business, there is only so much you can ever do alone, right? Then you need community, and that requires relationships. That's why communication is so vital. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are or where you live, you're always going to have to communicate on some level with someone. Even in the world of AI, it's still the human beings behind the AI that created it and did certain things around it, but it's still going to be you dealing with certain people, right? It doesn't matter. So in order to really nurture, right? This is a question, again, it comes around the world of challenging you, right? And challenging your own reality of how you operate. But, a simple question I like to ask is, knowing that we all communicate, right? We all have our professions, we all have our expertise, right? And we spend years studying, reading, and then that defines us as well. I know a lot about it and I implement a lot. I've done a lot because I'm an expert and I've studied and I've done this and I've done that all my life. So what have you done around the world of communication? How many books have you read about how to talk more effectively? Work on your tonality, your verbiage, or anything else, right? Because that's what's going to allow you to build those nurture those relationships and get to the depth that a lot of people miss.
Okay.
Now, with that said, Nancy actually just asked me to share, and I think Anna Lynn did. So if you are local to Vegas, we actually created on a community level an event called the Happiest Hour. And it actually blew up. It started with 60 people, then it went to 100, then it went to 250, and then 500 attendees. And talking community, there's over 100 Chamber of Commerces in most local areas. It's ridiculous. And that's just Chamber of Commerce, right? So we've brought together close to 30 of the top associations, referral marketing groups, networking groups, and chambers of commerces in our local community so that people get out of their silos, stop talking community, but really truly embrace and act as a community together. So with 30 of these associations in one room, everybody has a better opportunity to win. TIWN is also a collaborator in it, which we're really grateful to have them on board. So yeah, if you are a Vegas local, Annalyn's put the information in, and you can use the code Happiest Hookup to get hooked up with 20% off. With that said, big on value. I'm also going to throw a quick link in here to my website, but it's a page where you can get a bunch of free resources.
Okay.
Oops.
Great, Adam.
Apologize. Thank you.
Great, Adam. Thank you so much for that information. Very insightful. Please reach out, grab that information off the chat or wherever you're getting it from and do that. Last but certainly not least is Margaret Jackson. Margaret, you're there. I see you on there. Okay, great. Let me go ahead and read your bio. Margaret Jackson is a small business radio personality broadcasting in the San Francisco Bay Area and streaming internationally on iHeartRadio. She's a public speaker, small business magazine publisher, and CEO of the Small Business Concierge and Digital Media Corporation. Margaret's focus area is support for both nonprofit and profit businesses because they both have a role in helping the community. So with that being said, I'll pass it over to you, Margaret. There you go.
Thank you so much, Derick. Can everyone hear me okay? Sounds clear. Perfect. In spirit of the game, let me just say thank you for inviting me to share impact for a few moments. It's always an honor to be asked to speak anywhere, whether it's 5 minutes, 50 minutes, 5 days. It's always an honor and every word counts. So I have about 5 minutes to share how I impact the small business community and the work that I do as a business leader. I'm kind of a word person, so I love the title of your event here, Impact for Everyone. I think that is so spot on for the time that we're living in, but quite frankly, it is, impact is for everyone. It's just timeless, right? And so I love the title of your event here. You know, in December 2021, the Small Business Administration reported 928,000 business closures. There were, in that same year, 1.4 million businesses open. These are small businesses. And if you're not sure the size of what a small business is, the SBA says a small business is fewer than 500 people, 500 employees. That's a pretty big small business, but that's the definition. And so small businesses aren't closing in 5 years, and we call them business deaths and business opens or births. They're closing in the same time frame that businesses are opening. And you can look at that research, and it goes back many, many years, even decades, that this pattern is happening. And so I want you to keep that in mind, because our small businesses are the backbone of our countries, of our nations. And if they don't survive and thrive in our community, small businesses are communities. It's a small business community. I focus on small businesses. I focus on nonprofits because the survival of them impacts our communities. And it's so important that we do business with small businesses. I love doing business with small businesses. If I can buy from them, I like buying from them as well. Steve Jobs stated, you gotta have passion. And passion really means it's not the hallmark romantic passion that was, I'm in love with you and I have passion for you. But passion really is an interesting word, and it means to relentlessly endure or suffer to impact. Or to impact using your genius, to impact doing what everyone so eloquently has shared today. I'm so impressed with everyone. And so kudos to you, keep doing what you're doing. So everyone has the ability and capacity and capability to impact, which means to significantly or strongly influence something or some program or some, you fill in the blank because you know what you do best. And so again, like I said, the small business community is a community. Small businesses are the backbone of our countries and the places that anywhere around the world, but they struggle. They struggle to reach that point of sustainability impact. That's where I come in. That's where the work that I do that comes into play. Oftentimes people says, Margaret, you just do a lot of things. I don't do a lot of things. I do one thing well, and I use different vehicles and mediums to support small businesses and gain access to the resources and business acumen and opportunities that they should have. Minority businesses, women in business, who women in business still struggle with getting access to capital far more than our male counterparts. That's interesting. And why is that when we have so many women geniuses around the planet? So guys, just understand that don't discount the women in your world. They're powerful and they have a next level that you should be asking them. If you don't know the answer to the question, ask the woman to the left of you, to the right of you. She probably has an answer for you. So go ahead and tap into her genius. And so we want you to be able to do that. But they struggle with reaching their point of sustainability. And how do I know that? Because research shows us that, and small businesses tell us that. And the number one thing that they say, what do you need? We need access to capital. Minority business or SETI businesses, socially economic disadvantaged individuals, minority businesses, women in business, LGBTQ, disabled veterans, struggling with great ideas, great business opportunities that they're trying to push forward, struggling with getting access to capital and being able to hire and being able to grow and sustain. So I say this to point you towards an article that I love, and if you have an opportunity, look it up. Harvard Business Review published an article back in 1983 called The 5 Stages of Small Business by Neil Churchill and Virginia Lewis. The first 3 stages is where I like to be that coach, that consultant, is when business are number one, existence. You start your business and you know, okay, I'm in business, but I just kind of exist. What do I do now? Survival, that's when you're fighting to create that revenue flow, whether you're a nonprofit, and just for the record, nonprofits can be extremely wealthy. So nonprofit is not code for we don't have any money. But we can't know. Nonprofits can be extremely, extremely profitable. And then success, those first 3 stages is where I look to support small businesses. And the way that I do that is through the radio show on AM 1220 KBOW. We're the #1 business and finance network in Silicon Valley Bay Area. We're in the 4th largest market in the nation. We're an affiliated network with Bloomberg, and so we are excited about that as well. And so the other streams would be supporting the California High-Speed Rail Authority that is looking to support small businesses getting certified. So all of these different associations and radio and all of the things that I'm doing is my way of getting to women in business who kind of gravitate to me. I love women in business. I love your genius. I love you wanting to go to your next level and shooting for the stars. We were designed for greatness. And so just get used to that idea. We're supposed to be all kinds of magnificent because you are. And so are our guys. We're not taking anything away from you guys. And so everyone has that genius and that ability to be absolutely phenomenal. And so that's where I influence through NorCal SBDC, being a regional advisor for their inclusivity project, and partnered with 4 other of their SBDCs in the network, helping small businesses get access to capital, job creation, job retention, starting their business. So there's a lot of ways to support. I think the biggest way that you can support in your communities around the globe, buy from them. They need your support. They need us to buy their products and services. So I'm getting feedback.
If you're not speaking, please go on mute.
Thank you so much. So in any case, that's the goal, is to impact. And with NorCal SBDC Network, we have something called economic impact, starting the business, job creation, job retention, increase in sales, access to capital. And so again, I want to thank you for this opportunity. We have a responsibility to support our communities and our businesses in our community. Some cultures will get together and they will support one person starting a business within their community and then help them get off the ground. And then the next person in the community. I heard someone says, hey, you need to know the people in your community, your neighbors, and they're investing so that business can succeed. And the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Everyone within that community, everyone within that where they're living, they know one another, they're supporting one another. We have that responsibility because everyone has the opportunity, capability, capacity to impact everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Margaret. I'd appreciate that. Just a small, quick question. I know I got about 30 seconds. I can get a response from you. Can you explain more about what the SBDC is for our folks that may not know exactly what that is?
Right. So the Small Business Development Center is a federal program it's a program. It's not a business. It's a program that the Small Business Administration, the federal body, has within their arsenal of programs. So you have the Small Business Development Center, you have the school, you have the Women's Business Center. And this resource is accessible to anyone in the United States that's a small business owner. So you'll find them at your colleges, your workforce development locations, your cities, your counties. And so you can look at America's SBDC, and I believe it's SBDC, America's SBDC.org. And you can connect with your local SBDC or just Google it, America's SBDC, and you can locate your SBDC within your region. Did I do it in 30 seconds? I'm on radio, so timing is never usually a problem. So don't get your commercial break.
Okay, thank you. We're right. We just hit the mark on time. We really do appreciate you, Margaret, Jessica, Balin, and also Adam. I really personally thank you for being a panelist here. This was great and fantastic information, and I love being right on time. That's my Air Force military background that likes to be on time. But anyway, great information. Again, we're going to have the wrap-up session right after this with the golden nuggets. All you have to do is stay here. You don't have to do anything. That's the great part of this action. You don't have to do anything. Please, I encourage you to, if you have additional questions or anything like that, you can certainly ask them in grander detail in the session that immediately follows this. And also, again, I'll reiterate to put your information into the chat and save it, that chat for yourself, so you can contact people and they can then contact you for the things that you want to be interested in and you want to get more information. Again, I'm Derick Jackson, your moderator. I appreciate everything. And then